What is this?
I'm sorry, Carl. This is not the way I like to do things.
And don't do it. What do you want from me?
Your past. Listen to me carefully, Carl. You're about to enter the Animus. What you're about to see, hear, and feel are the memories of someone who's been dead for 500 years.
Wait a minute.
Synchronization achieved.
Commence regression.
And that's a clip, of course, from Assassin's Creed. Its star and producer is Michael Fassbender. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hi, good, thanks.
And happy Christmas to you.
Thank you very much. Happy Christmas to you.
So I just checked back in our show records. I remembered this anyway. You've been on the show twice before.
That's right.
The first time was when you were playing Rochester in Jane Eyre. Then it was Frank.
That's right.
and now Assassin's Creed. In terms of jump from, I mean, the comparison of Frank to Assassin's Creed. That's the full panoply of your skills there, don't you think?
I'd actually like to see Frank in an Assassin's get-up with hood and blades, complete. It would be difficult, though, because with Frank, I couldn't see anything in front of me. I only had periphery vision.
So we pan up to the top of an amazingly tall building, and there's Frank.
Frank doing a leap of faith.
That's very good. Anyway, so this is an extraordinary film. I enjoyed it very much. Just you've been involved with it for quite some time. Just explain how you got on board many years ago now.
Right. Well, I got introduced to the guys from Ubisoft, and they had sort of expressed their desire to make a film of this video game. I'd never played the game. I'd seen posters and trailers on television, so there was something quite mysterious and dangerous about it, but that was all I knew. And they sat me down and started to explain this universe to me, and I was immediately intrigued and just drawn into it. I thought it would lend itself very, very well to a cinema experience. The first thing that really struck me was this concept of genetic memory, that within our DNA we have the experience and knowledge of our ancestors, something that we might describe as a gut feeling or a sixth sense. That immediately made me sort of stand up and pay attention, because I thought in this fantasy realm, that's a very scientifically plausible thesis. So that was a good start. And then the idea of Templars. Who are Templars? They're this sort of group of powerful people in the world. They're the elite of society. They basically run the world. And they believe
the metropolitan elite.
That's right. And they believe in science and order. And they also believe that some humans are more valuable than others, and that some should actually be enslaved. And then their counterpoint to that are the assassins. Their ideology exists around free will. They believe that free will should be protected at all costs, and that all humans are equal. So you have these two rival these two sort of ideologies battling for the future of humanity.
Which makes it a very ancient story, because it goes, if it's about free will, we're back to Adam and Eve, aren't we?
That's right.
Pretty much straight away.
They were the first assassins. Adam and Eve were the first ones that chose free will and plucked the apple.
And so we're on their side.
It's hard to say which side we're on. That's also a very interesting part of the universe. When I was talking to the guys from Ubisoft, it's unlike a lot of films in this genre where you can really sort of pitch your tent with either the good guys or the bad guys. It's very clear, the light and the dark. This is more of a murky world. There's definitely some moral ambiguity here, and I always thought that was interesting.
You might think that, Michael, but actually when we go see the movie, we're all on your side and we're not on Jeremy Irons' side, and that's just the way it is.
Okay, good. I'm
just
happy to hear.
At some stage, so you're talking to Ubisoft. They obviously feel very passionately about it. It's their property. It's been enormously successful for them. They want to make a great movie. But at some stage in your thought process, you must have thought, okay, this is not, in the past, this jump has not been that successful. It's been difficult to make really great movies out of really successful computer games. So how did you go about making sure the mistakes made before didn't happen now?
With great ignorance. I mean, it really is. It was sort of through naivety. I wasn't aware until people started telling me that there was a curse. So I was already in it at that point. Yeah, I don't really concern myself with that. I either think it's good or it's not. And I just thought the world was so intriguing, and I thought that it, like I said, that it would translate very well to the big screen. I knew that a lot of the fascination with the game was this link to history, and I thought that we could really explore that very well in terms of doing it as a movie. This idea of the animus, as we talked about, this genetic memory.
Okay. Well, just explain your two characters and the animus and how that works.
Right, yeah. Well, when we sort of start the film, we get introduced to Callum Lynch in present day. He's on death row, about to be executed, and subsequently ends up in a place called Abstergo, run by the Templars. And in Abstergo, they're basically seeking out trying to find the apple of Eden, and they're doing that by using a machine called the Animus. And the Animus is kind of like a genetic DeLorean, if you like. It's a sort of genetic time machine. And through the DNA makeup of Cal, he's able to go back to 1492, where the apple was last seen or last recorded. And so his ancestor is Aguilar de Nera. He's able to access that time period through his ancestor. And so that's how we move to that timeline.
When you were just going back in time now to when you were talking about the people from Ubisoft, did you then sit down and play the game so that you thought, just to see what this character does and what the whole thing felt like?
Absolutely. First, out of respect to Ubisoft, I wanted to really see what they had created. And it was, I think, really 2000 since I really played video games, or 1999 or something. And I was immediately blown away by the sophistication. The graphics have, improved so much. But this world that they had created, the detail, the precision of how they would recreate a city in exact sort of, each cornerstone as it was. And also, what was very important for me was to get the understanding of the kill poses and the strike poses.
Just explain what they are.
Well, the character that I'm playing in the past, Aguilar de Nera, he uses blades. That's his weapon of choice. So he has to get up very close to the mark or the target in order to assassinate it. And that's in the video game. There's a very stylistic way of doing that, and parkour is also a huge element of the game that we really loved that, and we wanted to bring that into the film.
And what is that?
It's basically called parkour or free running. It's something that I believe was developed in Paris. I'm guessing almost 20 years ago now, and it's basically urban gymnastics, I suppose, is a good
I'm now
way to
feeling very
describe
stupid
it.
because my son said, make sure you ask him about parkour, and I've completely forgotten. So that's
Okay.
the thing. But that side of it is handled fantastically, and maybe people will go and expect to see a very CGI dominated film, but it's more than that, isn't it? There's quite a lot of old school filmmaking that you've paid attention to here.
That's right. We wanted to do it old school. Exactly right. There is some CGI elements, but that's mainly for Abstergo and in the Animus room. In the timeline in 1492 Spain, all of those action sequences pretty much take place in real locations with real people, and it is done with the actors and the stunt men and women, and that was something that was really important to Justin and myself, that we do it in this sort of old school manner. We just, as you said, a lot of these type of films, they're very CGI or special effects saturated, and we wanted to do something different.
So the Justin you're talking about is Justin Kurzel,
That's right.
who's the director, who you worked on, of course, with Macbeth, along with Marion Cotillard, who's also in this movie. Was it while you were doing Macbeth that you thought, this is the guy? Because obviously you were on board at this stage. You'd been hooked up by Ubisoft a couple of years previously. So did you think he's the guy? What was it about him that made you think he was the director?
Just the experience we were having on Macbeth. He's a very strong visionary as a director. He's also a very strong leader. He communicates very well, not only with the actors, he's exceptional with actors, but also with the various departments. People are really sort of swept up with his passion. Also, from his previous films, obviously Snowtown Murders and then, the experience that we had in Macbeth, I could see that he could do a lot with what he had in terms of money and resources. And also his ability to really bring a reality to anything that he's dealing with, and he's a very visceral filmmaker, so I knew the violence would be portrayed well.
It obviously feels like the start of something.
Hopefully, if people appreciate what we've done and they enjoy it and go see it, then for sure we set off with this story over a 3-film arc. So there is sort of a journey in mind that we've got.
And there's lots of, you mentioned right at the beginning of our conversation about the leap of faith and the jumping and the stunts, which people will be expecting. I mean, it's the one thing that absolutely has to happen in this movie.
That's
people
right.
will be waiting for it. Obviously you had a stunt double, but you
Yes.
did a lot of leaping yourself, I think.
I did some leaping and jumping, some roly-polies and and whatnot. But the main leap of faith that we've got in the movie, which Damien Walters did.
He's your stunt double.
That's right. He's one of them. Yeah, and he's pretty famous on YouTube. He's an exceptional gymnast. So he broke his own record. He jumped from 120 foot. He did a 120-foot leap of faith with no wires, no cords.
What's the pose you have to have for the leap of faith?
It's kind of like a crucifix position from the jumping position, and then you've got to sort of go like a bird, I guess. So you keep your head up until you tuck it down, and that's when you'll initiate the roll and land flat on your back. But at 70 foot, he actually entered the crash mat, or sort of, it's a big inflatable sort of crash pad. Sort of heavy on his head, so that wasn't great. You've got to go absolutely flush flat, and he said it was like getting hit in the back of the head with a cricket bat. So I was a bit concerned that he was going to continue doing it, because that was at 70, then he did 90, then he did 100, then he did 110, and he did 120, broke his record.
What was the biggest one that you did?
Probably 12 foot. No, it's hard to say. We did some stuff in the Animus room. I guess it would have been at about 7 or 8 meters, but personally, I guess I've dove from a 10-meter platform at a swimming pool. That's the highest dive I've done.
Do you get a break for Christmas?
I do, yes.
How much time do you get? What would be a perfect Fassbender Christmas?
Family, friends, food, Indiana Jones.
Michael, thank you very much indeed, and happy Christmas.
Thank you so much, Simon.